Kaja Israel, Kaba Egypt, Kaja Ethiopia, Kaja Sudan, Waja Shong. Kaja Ikushima, you know, Wanime Kona, me Waja Shong. So Timbuktu, Ghana, Mali, Sumanguru, you know, Waja Shong. Waja Jake, Waja Shong. Manchester, you know, Sumanguru, you know, walk where what you show. What's that to do, you know, Ramasa, you know, Yasan, you know, what you show. Kaja Israel, Kaba Egypt, Kaja Ethiopia, Kaja Sudan, what you show. Abaka, Bachimo, one year, for Karacha, I catch my 1 year, and in young fang. Abaka, Bachimo, 1 year, for Karacha, I catch my 1 year, and in young fang. I'm a Caminian Matu, I'm a Caonian Motu, I'm a Caonian Watumo. I'm a Caminian Matu, I'm a Caonian Motu, I'm a Caonian Watumo. I'm a Caonian Watumo, we not a catch my walk out.
Tap, and send. It's okay. Go. Let me speak to my people. Now, let me speak to you. I know the stress people go through when they want to send money from abroad to their family members and loved ones in Ghana and even in Africa. See, if you are in the USA, if you are in London, UK, Canada, you know, Europe, any part of the world, see, Tap Send has made it very easy. All you have to do is to tap and send. Within a twinkle of an eye, your money will be sent with no stress. It's very fast, convenient, and easy to access everywhere. What are you waiting for? Just tap and send.
Download Tap Send now on Google Play and App Store. Tap Send. It's secure, convenient, easy, and fast.
Me did young Tachua, and maybe I'm discovered for Europe. I come a bushing for Ghana. No, me used to tap send. Tap send. No fee mobile money transfer. Aye easy, aye convenient, aye fast, and sounds so free. Won't you share? Me discover aye mapim. Tap send. Intienne. Also download the Tap Send app. No, ever mobile phone so free. Na first ka come a bushing for Ghana for na. Tap send. Papa no.
Good evening. Welcome to tonight's edition of the Ghanaian Community Awareness Forum. My name is Emmanuel Kwesi. I'm the chairman of Ghana Union UK. Tonight, We are here to discuss another exciting topic, which I believe each one of us here resonate with it when it comes to our dealings in Ghana. Uh, for starters, you just have to outline some of the few rules that I'm sure some of you are mostly used to. It is worth saying that this program is brought to you by joint partnership with Ghana Union UK, the Western Region Nurses Association UK, the Ghana Nurses Association UK, and the Ghanaian Nightingale Nurses Association UK. It is supported by the Ghana High Commission and brought to you live on Omega Live TV and BWTV. We are on Facebook, Zoom, and on YouTube. Please, wherever you are, join us and engage with our speaker tonight on the matters that affect you and the things that matters to you most. Please, at the point of Q&A, unmute yourself when called to do so, and one question at a time where possible. If possible, please use the Zoom icon to raise your hand and we will call you. Those on Facebook, please also continue sending your message through and we will be able to try and get to you as much as possible. On that note, we would like to say that this program is being supported and promoted by TapTapSend. TapTapSend, your most efficient way of sending money through family and friends to Ghana and other parts of the world. Tonight we will have a guest speaker who will give us a few information about TapTapSend and what they can do, what else they can do to help us as diasporans. We also want to be grateful to the support offered to us by IT Consortium. IT Consortium, your number one IT security network you can rely on if you ever have any need to fall on any security information of that nature. IT Consortium. Chango is their baby, and Chango is meant to put people together to donate and share the donation to all the charities they want to. So read more about it, go to their website and make use of them. With their help, we are able to bring to you live every 2 weeks for this program, and I'm sure we have all been enjoying it from time to time in the comfort of your home. Our topic tonight is quite simple: land acquisition in Ghana. Over the years, all of us have had to deal with land in one way or the other, either through purchase or through leasehold or anything. And I'm sure we cannot number the number of issues we've had. Tonight we have a special guest who is best on the field of acquiring land, the legal processes, the institutional framework, all the things you need to do to be able to acquire a safe, reliable piece of land that nobody will claim ownership to. How to go about registering it, all the agencies that you need to deal with, the due diligence that you need to be aware of, so that if you are not already ripped off, you don't become a victim like others have become over the years. We have this special guest of honor whose accolade cannot be read tonight because it's a lot. But the most important and pressing one that we want you to be aware of, he is a lawyer by profession and a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana School of Law and a founding partner of Parmesan Associates, legal practitioners and consultants. Audience, join me as I welcome Mr. Parmesan. Chief, good evening, sir. You have to please unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself. You are muted. Yes, fine. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, please. Mr. Question, good evening to you and good evening to all your listeners.
Thank you, thank you. So tonight, I mean, you are not new on the field, and as a lecturer, I'm not. It's not my show this evening. It's yours. So we'll give you the forum to educate us, to inform us, to give us the information and the awareness that we need, especially for those of us from diaspora who don't normally reside in Ghana. The kind of issues that we get involved when it comes to just trying our best to have somewhere that we can put our head back home. The disappointment we go through, the number of times we have to deal with chiefs and lawmakers and land guards and everybody that gets involved. I'm sure you can highlight a lot more for us. So I'll leave you and we'll come back once you're done. Please take over.
Thank you very much, Mr. Quayson. Let's start with some very basic information about our beloved country. As you all know, Ghana is bordered on the north by the Republic of Burkina Faso, on the east by the Republic of Togo, on the west by the Republic of Cote d'Ivoire, and on the south by the Gulf of Guinea, the Atlantic Ocean. And this country covers a total landmass of 238,000 square kilometers. Historically, separate entities. We had the colony and the Northern Territories. So these four units was what constituted the Gold Coast. And on the 6th day of March 1957, the Gold Coast became Ghana. At the time of independence, the population of the country was less than 6 million. Last year, at the count, at the census, the population is estimated to have gone beyond 38 million. And our land mass is still 238,000 square kilometers. Regarding the legal system, Ghana runs what we call a pluralist legal system. It means that you have more than one system of law operating at the same time. So you have the statutory law, you have the constitutional law, you have what we call the customary law, and you have what we also call the common law, which comprises of the English law that was received during the colonial period. So we have a pluralist legal system that have different headings. And that is one of the complications that we have to deal with as a country. The whole question of legal pluralism. Now, when it comes to land and land types, there are different types of lands in the country. And the different types also adds to the complexity. So we have some lands that are called state lands. Now, the state lands are those lands which have been acquired by the state for the public purpose or in the public interest. And these lands were previously either stool lands or skin lands, which is lands that are controlled by stools or skins, or clan lands, which is lands that are controlled by clans. And let me give you examples. Most of the Akan areas, particularly Achim, Ashanti, Kwau, and most of the western and western north regions, the lands are stool lands. If you go up north, if you get to Dagbon, Mampurusi, Bonja areas, the lands are skin lands. It means that these lands are governed by the customary law related to the skins. And if you want land for any use, you have to go to the occupant of a skin. In the same way, for the lands that are stool lands, if you want land for any use, you have to go to the occupant of a stool. And the occupant of the stool or the skin will their councillors are the land managers, so that are clan lands. So, for example, if you go to Adan, there are no stool lands in Adan. The lands in Adan are owned and controlled by clans, and there are different clans like the Adibiawe, Akabiawe, Lomobiawe, Tepebiawe, Dangbebiawe. So, if you go to Adan to look for land for investment, and you go and pay money to a chief, you have paid money to the wrong person, because over there, the lands are not stool lands, they are clan lands. So you have to look for the heads of the clans to deal with. Now, if you go towards the Dangbe areas, Osudoku, Shai, Asutare, those areas, the lands are family lands. They are not stool lands, and they are not clan lands. They are family lands. So you have to deal with the head of a family and the councillors of those families. Now, there are certain parts of the north, particularly in those areas we call the acephalous societies, those societies that didn't have chieftaincy as a centralized form of government. So, Boliga, for example, if you go to Boliga and you are looking for land, and you go to a chief, the Boliga Naba, you are wasting your time. Why? Because the lands in Boliga and its environs are controlled by local land owners called Tindanes. So the Tindana means the descendants of the first settlers. So if you go to Boliga, for example, there are 4 main Tindanes that you may have to deal with. Like the Tindana of Tindonsobligo, the Tindana of Daporitindongo, the Tindana of Tindomorigo, and the Tindana of Soin. So you have to deal with these entities to assess land. Now, there are some parts of the country where lands have been sold outright to individuals. We call such landowners alienation holders. So some parts of the western region, Wasadompin and Bonsa areas, farmers who migrated to those areas bought land outright and performed customary ceremonies, and they became absolute owners of these lands. If you go to some of the Achim areas, Krobo farmers ended up buying land, and they have their settlements, they have their dademanches. So those lands technically have become like individual lands. So you go to those areas and you deal with a chief, you are wasting your time. You have to look for the alienation holder and deal with that alienation holder. Now, let's talk about the institutional arrangements for managing land in Ghana. Prior to December 2008, there were different institutions that were responsible for managing land in this country. Prior to that, we had what we all know as the land. We have the Land Evaluation Board, and we had the Survey Department. So we had these 5 agencies which all had land management responsibility. These agencies had their own records. So if you wanted to do searches, you have to search all these different agencies to ascertain the state of the records. Now, in 2008, legislation was passed. This is the Lands Commission Act of 2008, Act 767. Now, Act 767 did something very important. What did it do? It brought under one umbrella these agencies which were previously independent, and their functions were brought within the framework of a single Lands Commission as functional divisions. So currently, we have a Lands Commission with divisions such as the Public and Vested Lands Management Division, the Land Registration Division, which is a combination of the Land Title Registry and the Land Registry. We also have the Survey and Mapping Division, which is what used to be the old survey department. And we have a land valuation division, which happened to be the old land valuation board. So now you have a lands commission with 4 functional divisions headed by 1 chief executive. And it would interest all of you to note that as part of the land reform process, all these agencies now have a common depository of records. It means that you wouldn't have to now jump from one division to the other division to conduct searches. If you do a single search at the Public and Vested Lands Management Division, you will get the results from land registration, you will get the results from survey as well. So that is a major change that has happened in this country in the last couple of years. And it is the result of the land reform agenda, which has been pursued from about 2003. I happen to be the legal advisor at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources from the beginning of 2003 all the way to about 2011, when this reform agenda was implemented. So I was an instrumental part in putting together these new land sector reforms. Now, let us talk about the substantive law. We've talked about the institutional reforms. So, substantive law. Prior to December 2020, we had a sector. Now, the first of these laws, and interestingly, most of these laws were passed in 1962. The first one was the Land Registry Act of 1962, Act 122. The second was the Administration of Lands Act 1962, Act 123. The third was the Concessions Act 1962, Act 124. The fourth was the State Lands Act 1962, Act 125. The fifth was the Minerals Act 1962, Act 126. The seventh was the Survey Act 1962, Act 127. Then we also had the Conveyancing Act of 1973, NRC Decree number 175, and the Land Title Registration Law, PNDC Law 152 of 1986. Now, these laws were the legal architecture for the land sector. Now, let me explain to you what each of these laws was about. The Land Registry Act was the law under which your documents relating to land were registered. Instruments relating to land were registered under the Land Registry Act, the so-called Deeds Registry. The Administration of Lands Act was the law that was used to manage stool lands in this country. The State Lands Act was the law for purposes of state acquisitions. The state needs land for its purposes. And the State Lands Act of 1962 at 125 was the law under which compulsory acquisitions by the state of land were done. Then the Concessions Act was the law under which timber rights were granted. And then the Minerals Act was the law under which mineral rights were granted. But the Minerals Act was replaced earlier by a Minerals and Mining Act, which has also been replaced by a 2006 legislation. Now, currently, as of today, all these laws I have listed for you have been repealed. In other words, they are no longer good laws because in December 2020, a new Land Act was promulgated in Ghana. And this new Land Act is called the Land Act 2020, Act number 1036. So it is Act 1036 of 2020. Now, this act was the result of the land reform agenda that I mentioned to you earlier. And I am happy to inform you all that I led the team of the land and sent to Parliament for eventual passage. So I was integral to the whole process of the land reform agenda. Now, what has the New Land Act done? The New Land Act has brought serious changes to the landscape of this country in terms of land management. Now, let us go through some of these changes. The first change that we will talk about is that under the New Land Act, we have changed the law relating to renewal of leases. This is something that I think for you as diasporians, you will appreciate. You know, under this country's laws, a lease is a grant of land for a term of years. So if you have a land and you have a lease for 50 years, it means that at the end of 50 years, whatever structures you have put on the land, you will leave those structures for your landlord. If you have a lease for 99 years, at the end of 99 years, you will leave the structures you have erected on the land for your landlord. Now, some leases have options for renewal, but some leases don't have options for renewal. Some leases, the options for renewal are not properly crafted to favor the lessee, which is the person who has taken the lease. And in the course of discussing this new legislation, we went across the whole country holding stakeholder consultations. And one of the things that came out clearly as a concern of Ghanaians was what happens to us when our leases come to an end. So in the new act, we decided that we should make some changes in that regard. And the changes appear in section 50 of the new act, starting from subsection 9. So if you get a copy of the Land Act and you go to section 50, subsection 9, you will be told that where you are an indigent of any community in this country, and you are given land that belongs to the community to which you belong, and you develop that land by way of a residential or farming of perennial crops or commercial or industrial use of the land. This new act is saying that it will be deemed that you have an automatic right of renewal, whether the agreement says you can renew or not. The law has granted, so you are native. So if you are from, say, Achim Kwabing, and you have acquired a land in Kwabing, and you have built a factory on it, and you have a lease which says you have 50 years, don't worry about what happens after 50 years, because section 50, subsection 9 says, at the end of the first term, which you've been granted, you have an automatic right of renewal for another term. So this is something that should interest you. Now, the same act in section 50, subsection 11, says that where you are a citizen of Ghana and you have acquired land in any part of Ghana, where you are not a native or an indigent, then the law says at the end of your lease, unless you yourself have agreed that you will not seek a renewal, the law says unless you yourself agreed not to seek a renewal, there will be an implied provision that it will be renewed. So where you are a native or an indigent, the law says it is automatic. But where you are a stranger, but you are a Ghanaian, and you have not stated expressly to the contrary, the law says it must be implied into the lease that you will get a renewal. And you would negotiate the renewal, and they should take into account the development that you have done on the land. And where you have not been able to agree on the new terms for the extension, it will be subjected to ADR, Alternative Dispute Resolution, under Ghana law. However, there is no such automatic renewal for persons who are not citizens of Ghana. So maybe some of you in diaspora, yes, you are Ghanaians, but you are also not Ghanaians. If you are a dual citizenship holder, you have no problem. But if you are a Ghanaian who has changed their nationality and are not a dual citizen, then you are going to have restrictions on your ability to hold land. And that's the next point I am going on to. Now, on restrictions of land holdings by foreigners, this is what our Constitution says. In Article 266 of the 1992 Constitution, foreigners or persons who are not citizens of Ghana are not allowed to hold a freehold interest in Ghana. And a freehold interest is an interest in land which is of indefinite duration and potentially perpetual. Of freehold which is of an indefinite duration and therefore potentially perpetual. So under Article 266 of our Constitution, if you are not a citizen of Ghana, you cannot hold a freehold interest in land in this country. Under the same Article 266, the highest estate in land a non-citizen can hold is a lease for 50 years at a time. So for those of you in the diaspora who have relinquished your Ghanaian citizenships, you can only hold 50-year leases at one time. And this is something that you must have at the back of your minds, because the Constitution says if you purport to draw up an instrument conferring on a person who is not a citizen of Ghana a freehold interest in any land in this country, that transaction is void ab initio. It cannot give you any rights at all. It cannot give you any rights at all. And the Land Act in Section 9, if you go to Section 9 of the Land Act, and more especially Section 10, it is stated clearly that if you are disqualified from holding land in this country, the fact that you are married to a Ghanaian does not change that disqualification. So if you are not a citizen of Ghana who is entitled to hold a freehold interest and you get married to a Ghanaian, don't think that you can circumvent the law of Ghana on that. Our law says clearly that the fact that you are married to a Ghanaian will not change that status. Because if you are not eligible to hold a freehold or a leasehold for more than 50 years, you cannot, just by marrying a Ghanaian, tilt the law in your favor. We should also note And this is stated clearly in section 10, subsection 10 of the Land Act, Act 1036. It says that you cannot also establish a company and register the company in Ghana to get around this piece of legislation. So let me make it simple. In international law, there is something we call the Barcelona Traction Case Rule. The Barcelona Traction Case Rule simply says that the nationality of a body corporate is the nationality of the country in which that body corporate is incorporated. So if you were applying the Barcelona Traction Case Rule simply, it means if you are not a Ghanaian and you incorporate nothing, but our law in this country says that any company which has more than 40% stake held by non-Ghanaians is not a Ghanaian company. A body corporate whose share stock is controlled by non-Ghanaians 40% and above. So once you cross the 40% mark, that company is not a Ghanaian for purposes of holding land. So don't be advised by anybody if you are not a Ghanaian into thinking that you can come and incorporate Kofi and Ama Limited in Ghana and use Kofi and Ama Limited to acquire land and get round the provisions of the law, unless at least 61% of Kofi and Ama Limited share stock is controlled by citizens of this country. So the long and short of it is a foreign company will not become a Ghanaian for purposes of land acquisition only by reason of registration in this country. At least 41% of the share stock would cross that company and seize that company from holding itself out as a Ghanaian. And like I have said, marriage to a Ghanaian will not change your situation. Marriage to a Ghanaian will not change your situation. Now, another change that has been introduced by the Land Act has to do with what we call customary land ownership. Many years back, the chiefs and the heads of families did not have the structures for managing their own lands. Now, under this new regime, every traditional landowner, be it a family, a clan, or a stool or skin that controls land, must establish what we call a customary land secretariat. Now, the customary land secretariats are being established as we are speaking with the support of the Lands Commission. So the Lands Commission is helping in the establishment of customary land secretariats across the country. There are some landowners who already have these secretariats, and the Lands Commission and the Office of Administrator of Stool Lands are assisting these entities to be able to manage their lands properly, without creating too many problems. And at some point, I am going to summarize for you what is when it comes to customary land secretariats. Now, there is some new thing that has also been introduced in Ghana, and I need to explain that to you because it has implications for you, particularly those of us from the rural communities. In the Land Act, under Section 50, subsection 21 and subsection 22, power has been given to the landowners, whether they are the chiefs or the stools, to be able to take your farmland or bare land that belongs to your family or yourself in the community if it is required for the overall development of the community or the expansion of the settlement. You see, sometimes the communities would have to be expanded. A planning scheme would have to be made. Now, what the law has done is to say to the chiefs and to the members of the communities that where the community requires land for the common good, your private individual rights must give way to the communal right. They need to expand the settlement. They need to build a school for the purposes of benefiting the whole community. Now, when that happens, the law in section 21 and 22 says that community must find alternative land for the citizen whose land has been affected, or they should pay you compensation, which is equivalent to at least 40% of the value of the land that they are taking. Now, the compensation or the alternative land must be given to you before the community can have access to your land. And this is like giving our communities powers which look like what the state has to be able to take your land. Another innovation which the Land Act has brought will be found in sections 38, sections 47, and sections 97. Now, this has to do with what we call matrimonial property. And I think our wives and sisters and nieces are interested in this part. You know, we realized that in Ghana, a couple, married couple, the man would use the matrimonial home as collateral for a loan, and the wife will not even be aware. The man will go and sell the property, the wife will not be even aware. So we realized that there was some mischief, and we needed to address this mischief. When we're putting together this law, that we should law that if property is acquired by spouses during a marriage, no single spouse in the union can transfer or sell or mortgage or gift that property without the written consent of the other spouse. This is what we call the spousal written consent. We have also put in provision that where one spouse of the marriage goes to acquire property and tries to use that person's name only on the documents, this new law is saying that where the property has been acquired for valuable consideration and only one spouse is seeking to use their name on the document, it is presumed by the law that that spouse is holding it in trust for the other spouse as well. So those of us who try to hide properties behind our spouses, the law has caught up with us. It means we should be as transparent as we can make our lives, because it doesn't pay to hide. Because even where you are seeking to hide, the law is saying that you are presumed to be a trustee of the person you are trying to hide the property from. So this encourages all of us to be transparent in our dealings as spouses. Now, we also want to talk about registration of land and the changes that have been recorded. If you go to section 80 of the new act, it says three forms of land registration are acceptable in this country. The first one is a recording of a customary transaction. That is where you go to a chief, a family head, or clan head, and they allocate the land to you, and they make entries in their records, and they give you some document or receipt or an allocation sheet with some details of yourself, the details of your land, and so on and so forth. This is what we call a recording of a customary transaction. And it is now recognized under our law as a valid mode of registering or recording a land transaction. The next form of registration under our law is what we call deeds registration, D-E-E-D-S, deeds registration, or registration of instruments relating to land. And let me give you some additional explanation on deeds registration. Ghana has 16 political regions. And of all the 16 political regions, title registration, which we are Greater Accra in the Central Business District of Kumasi, the Adum, or what we call the Kumasi Part 1 area. So, in this country, apart from the small part of Ashanti region, the rest, it means more than 90% of Ghana is only covered by deeds registration. Now, deeds registration means that you go through a land transaction, a lease, or a freehold as appropriate. You are given a document. You take that document to an office of the Lands Commission. They would prepare an oath, and you will take it to court, and the court registrar will stamp it for you. You take it back to the Lands Commission, and it goes through a certain process, and it comes out as a registered document. What it means is that the Lands Commission has registered the document relating to that land, the document, the instrument relating to that land. But the Lands Commission has not registered the land itself or your interest in the land. All that the Lands Commission has done is to register the instrument which you have produced. And it means that your instrument would have priority over any instrument which is subsequently registered in respect of that land. But the Lands Commission is not giving you a guarantee that that land actually belongs to you. The Lands Commission has only registered the instrument that you have submitted to it relating to that land. And this is what we call deeds registration or registration of instruments. Now, what I've just said means registration of instruments has problems because you are not, Lands Commission is not giving you a guarantee that you are the proprietor of the place. Lands Commission is not telling you that it has gone through its checks and can vouch for the authenticity of the grant which was made to you, which has been registered. Lands Commission has not registered your interest in the land. Lands Commission has only registered your instrument for the purposes of priorities. Because of this and the other weaknesses of the deeds system, most banks and financial institutions were not comfortable accepting the instruments that have been registered under the deeds system. So in 1986, Ghana started using or trying to apply registration of title. So what is title registration? Registration of title means that the state, after a rigorous examination and checks, is affected, is indeed proprietor of the land, and indeed the interest that the person says they have is actually the interest that they indeed have in respect of that land. It means that when you are a title holder, it gives you what we call a state guaranteed title. In other words, where you have a title registered, it is indefeasible. It means your title should not be overruled unless you obtained it by fraud or by mistake. This is the logical conclusion of titling. It is supposed to give you an indefeasible title, which is guaranteed by the state. And in fact, the logical conclusion of title was that the state was going to have an insurance system whereby if the state issues you with a title and later somebody comes to make an adverse claim and the state has to cancel your title, the state should have gone ahead to offer you compensation. This would have made sure that everybody would have confidence in the title system. But unfortunately, we have not been able to roll out the titling because of financial and other constraints. One of the biggest constraints to titling in this country has to do with the availability of reliable maps. As we are sitting here, this country of ours, we have not completed mapping the whole country. So your map of Ghana that you see always doesn't mean that this country has been mapped to scale. No. There's still a lot of work to be done to map all the parcels of land in this country which are needed for purposes of titling. So we need to make our maps and be able to extend titling beyond Greater Accra region and the Central Business District in Kumasi. Now, as we are going along, let me give you a gist of some of the most important challenges that the land sector is confronting in this country. And I believe that you could find yourself in one or more of these issues. So the first one is the general insecurity of tenure. Insecurity of tenure. If you have title, it is supposed to give you title security. But unfortunately, we are not able to get that. And we have documents which we have in our hands, and others are developing our lands. You go to the land, there is violence. Because the insecurity of title and tenure. Parcel, the same parcel to more than one person, creating what we call multiple transactions. So sale of land to more than one person. Conflicting claims from the same family, they've sold to 3 persons. Different families have sold the same land. And the reason is because there are boundary problems between landowners which have not been resolved. So sometimes you don't know where the boundary between La and Nungwa is. You don't know where the boundary between Teshi and La is. You don't know where the boundary between La and Osu is. So these large landowners have indeterminate boundaries, and when they are fighting, the people to whom they have given lands are also fighting. So the boundary problems between La and Osu would affect you as a purchaser of land from La or Osu. We also have serious issues about the appropriate interface between land development and planning. In some parts of the world, development and planning, they are sequenced in a certain way. And in those parts of the world, planning comes ahead of development. Unfortunately, in our part of the world, development comes ahead of planning, and it becomes very expensive for us, particularly those of you who have been watching how we construct roads. Road reservations have been taken over by developers, and sometimes the cost of compensation equals the cost of the construction of the road itself. Interestingly, in section 117 of the Land Act of 2020, we try to create an interface between planning and land development. And we put it clearly that the assemblies will not allow development of land unless registration has also happened. So we've put together the law. Those of us who put together the law don't have control over enforcement. And that is the problem we have in this country. So as for the Land Act and those of the people who put it together, I can tell you they've done marvelous work. But the ones who have to put enforcement on top are politicians. And that's what it is for Ghana, for you. We will put together a good legislative framework. When you leave it for enforcement, those who have to enforce, leave it hanging in the air. We also have some interesting things to tell you about the new legislation. In section 236 of the new act, something very interesting has happened. You know, the state has not used those lands. The state may be looking for money to develop. And by the time the state gets the money, people have encroached on these state lands. They've set up kiosks, structures, and what have you. And they would decide and use a certain argument against the state. Because under our law, in the Limitations Act of 1972, NRC Decree number 54, section 10, it says, if someone comes on your land adversely, in other words, somebody you have not put on your land, if they stay on your land for 12 years, your title is extinguished. In other words, you lose your ownership of the land. If they've been on your land for 12 years without protest, without hindrance from you. In section 236 of this act, we have said that if you go on state land, you cannot use the 12-year rule against the state. In other words, please, if you come to Ghana and anybody wants to sell land to you and you find out that it is government land, don't buy unless you buy it from the Lands Commission. Because if anybody other than the Lands Commission sells you state land, you stay on the land for 1 million years, you don't become an owner. The state can at any time come after you and take the land from you. So this is something we must have at the back of our minds. Another change or innovation that we have put in this law has to do with the state's power of compulsory acquisition. Many years back, the state took so much land, in some cases, way beyond its requirements, and the state did not pay compensation. And it is one of the problems of the land sector. So this new law says, before the state acquires anybody's land in this country for any public purpose, the Lands Commission must be satisfied that the state has made available the money which is going to be used to pay the compensation in a bank account. So now, going forward, in relation to acquisitions, it is money in a hand, back in the ground. If the state doesn't have the money to pay for the compensation, the state should stop doing projects. Because for me, what's the point in the state telling me that it has 20 million to build a hospital, but it doesn't have 200,000 to pay compensation for the landowners whose rights will be affected by the construction of the hospital? So this has come to an end. Now, the state must prove that it has the cash available before the state can take anybody's land going forward in this country. If the state doesn't have money to pay compensation, the state should stay away. From taking in. What are the some problems of land sector in this country? Has to do with land guards, violence on lands. The second has to do with multiple transactions, double sales. The third has to do with fraud and collusion by government officials. We've taken these into account and provided appropriate sanctions in the new law. And I can tell you that already some people have been jailed under this new law for double sales of land. So let's talk first about the violence on the lands. And for those of you who have access to the Land Act, go to Section 12. Section 12 has provided for very stiff punishments for infractions of the rules. What we are saying is this: if anybody comes, if you have land in Section 12, and somebody comes to your land who doesn't have lawful authority, and he demands money from you who has lawful authority over the land, as a condition for you developing your land, or prevents you from developing your land. Because what happens is sometimes people come to the land, they say, we are coming to collect digging fee. They seize your shovels and your pickaxes and your trowels. The law says those people are violating Section 12. And when they prevent you from developing your land, they've sent people to come and prevent you from developing your land, or they send people to come and extort monies from you as a condition for developing your land. What it means is they are in violation of Section 12, and listen to the sentence. Upon summary conviction, it's a term of imprisonment of not less than 5 years and not more than 15 years. There is no option of a fine. So if somebody comes to try to extort money from you on your land or prevent you from developing your land, I can tell you the present IGP takes very personal interest in these matters. If any of you have gone through this kind of pain and suffering, please, I can tell you, either your agents here or yourselves, find a way to make contact with the IGP. You will make progress on this front. The law does not even give an option of a fine. Minimum prison term of 5 years and maximum of 15 years. Now, in the same Section 12, a person who uses or through another person uses force, violence, or intimidation to prevent you or
Okay, I think we are having challenges with
developing or at least 10 years.
We are having challenges with the internet every now and then. So, Chief, I would suggest that we hold on for it now while you get someone to help you with your internet, because most of the conversation has been disrupted every now and then. In the meantime, while they are having a quick check for you, we will take a second break, a commercial break, and then we will come back where our sponsor will have a quick chat, and then we'll go to Q&A. I'm sure part of the conversation will involve Q&A, where a lot of the things will come up in the question and answer sessions, because the internet has been quite unstable. So we will take a quick break, and then we'll
fix it.
Right, so while Lawyer John is trying to sort the internet out, we'll take a quick break. We will come back. We will have a guest from TapTap who will give us a few words, and then we'll come back straight to question and answer session. I'm mindful of time, so if we have to fit this thing in, we will do that. This program has been put together with the help of Ghana Union, the Western Region Nurses Association, the Ghanaian Nurses Association, the Ghanaian Nightingale Nurses Association, supported by Ghana High Commission, Omega Live TV, and BWTV, broadcasting to you live. Tonight we are treating a topic on land acquisition. Our special guest has gone through a lot of information, some of which I'm sure there are already questions on the chat. And we have more questions to ask him. So I want us to be back and focus on those questions so that he can actually answer them rightly as he has done in his presentations. I'm sure you'll get the internet work. We'll take a second break and we'll be back.
Tap, and send. It's okay. Go. Let me speak to my people. Now, let me speak to you. I know the stress people go through when they want to send money from abroad to their family members and loved ones in Ghana and even in Africa. See, if you are in the USA, if you are in London, UK, Canada, Europe, any part of the world, see, TapTap Send has made it very easy. All you have to do is to tap and send. Within a twinkle of an eye, your money will be sent with no stress. It's very fast, convenient, and easy to access everywhere. What are you waiting for? Just tap, and send.
Download TapTap Send now on Google Play and App Store. TapTap Send. It's secure, convenient, easy, and fast.
Medidi ya nyantechwa emre bia mdiska be free Europe akoma abusuafo wo Ghana no me use tap send no fee mobile money transfer eye easy eye convenient eye fast and sound so ye free won't ya hwe me discover ye mapim tap send entienne also download the tap send app no ewo mobile phone so free na fesika komo abusuafo wo Ghana afa na nyina tap send Papa no.
Welcome back. Lawyer John, we will be back with you in the next few minutes. But in the meantime, we have two guests. TapTap Send. TapTapSend has been helping to bring this program to our audience every 2 weeks, and therefore we want to give TapTapSend an opportunity to give us a brief about what TapTapSend stands for, what they do for the community, how people can use it, how, all the good things that we want to know. It's a brief chat with us, and it will be no more than 10 minutes. At this point, I want to introduce Mauto Abraham, the director of TapTap, and I believe you are here with another colleague who is a co-director, I believe, to also Nana Abumako. You are both welcome to the forum. I'm sure you are enjoying it. We have a lot to go through, but I will give you a few minutes to take us through brief information that you can share with us.
Well, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Chrissy, and good evening the whole listening crew. It's really good to be here. So we are grateful that you've invited us. We are grateful that you allowed us into this great Ghanaian community. We are super grateful. My name is Kokumoto. Abraham is my surname, but Kokumoto is what everybody calls me. If you look for me back in the books, my name is Yellow from Presec 98. That's who I am. So born and bred in Ghana, lived all my life in Medina, Old Road, Firestone. Went to Presec for a few years, went to Legon, and for the last 17 years have been living in London, and in the last couple of years running TapTap Africa. But that's what I do. And Nana.
Hello everyone. Sorry. Apologies. Just hopped onto a train, so sorry about the background noise. I'm Nana Domako, co-founder Ghana TapTapSend. Hopefully a few of you know my face from the last 4 years of being growth manager for TapTapSend, but super excited to be sponsoring this program and enabling the community to learn more about such issues in Ghana. Just before I hand back to Mautor, we have a code just to remind you, GCAF, giving anybody who hasn't yet used TapTapSend £5 on their first transfer. Thank you.
Oh wow, GCAF, please, everybody, just tap, and send. I love your advert. I love that advert. Just tap, and send.
Yeah, so it's been an amazing journey, right? So we launched TapTap with the views of many Ghanaians, and try to create something that was different, which is no fee money transfer for Ghanaians and also Africans in the diaspora as a whole. So there is 80 of you on this phone call. If you don't have TapTapSend yet, what are you waiting for? Get your phone out, download TapTapSend, use the code GCAF, and you get £5 free. I'll tell you something. This is what happened, right? We all left Ghana. Most of us, anyway, left Ghana for 2 reasons, right? And those 2 reasons are clear to me. I left Ghana to seek resources, as in make some money, and also to seek knowledge, right? Those 2 things are important. So we came to Yababra to come and seek those 2 things. We've got resources because we've worked hard, we've kind of made money. Now we have to find a way to take some of those resources back home. We've also got knowledge now, like I've done an MBA, we've done masters, we've done lots of studies. So I urge all of you on this call, if you're not thinking about it, you've got some resources now, send some back home. That's why we're here. We've got some knowledge, let's find a way to send some back home as well. So those 2 things, we at TapTapSend want to encourage all of you to try and get some of those 2 things back into Ghana. And if you are passing resources back to Ghana, money back to Ghana, you care about how much money ends up in Ghana because it matters, right? So the rates matter, the fact that it's easy matter, the fact that we are involved in the community matter, and that's what we are here to do. We are here to help you to make it as easy as possible for you to move all of those resources you've made here back to Ghana. That's my aim. That's my big aim. I want to move all the money from the West to Africa. That's where it's needed. From the West to Ghana. That's where it's needed. So if you are storing up some wealth for yourself where moth and rat could destroy in London, like it's time to move it to Ghana. Ghana is a good place to put your money. Invest in some good land. Like Lawyer was saying, find some good land, invest in it. Use TapTapSend to move the money. Find some good property, invest in it. That's where good things are happening. So that's how we started. That's what we are doing. I deeply care about Ghana. It's my first love. It's always been, and it's never going to change. And I deeply care about how much money we are moving into the economy of Ghana. We are, as a diaspora, as a whole, not just TapTapSend, we are contributing far more than 2-3% of Ghana's GDP each year, which tells you how much remittances matter to the economy. And it's not going to government. It's not going to funds. It's not going to aids. It's not going to build roads. It's going to the everyday people, my brothers, my sisters, your cousins, your aunties, and they are buying medicines. They are buying school fees. They're paying for cocoa in the morning. They're doing amazing things. So the money that you are sending to Ghana is having fantastic, great impact. It's helping the economy. It's also helping your everyday people. And it's ultimately helping you build resources and retirement and savings back home for you when you get home. That's what TapTapSend are here to do. We will continue doing this. We are no free money transfer. We give you the best rates and we'll continue to do so. We care about Ghana and the community and we'll continue to invest in that. That's where I come from. That's where Nana comes from. And we would continue to work with Kwesi and the Ghana Union and everybody else who wants to work with us to improve Ghana. And we'll continue doing it. That's it. But we'll be here. Any questions? That'll be great. I think, is that a good enough intro for TapTapSend?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. I mean, no, I want to ask one question, just one. What's the exchange rate today? And how do you find the way the rates are going up and down for the good of the country? What do you see? I know we are in the money transfer world, yes, but as a country, the exchange rate moving, does that not have so much impact on the local people we are trying to send the money to them?
It does. So I spent time listening to our Honorable Kenneth Ferrata yesterday, right? And what he was talking about changing how to improve the lives of people by cutting fuel duty, by kind of pumping $2 billion into the economy. Now, the dollar has become so scarce that the exchange rate is going up at crazy levels. For us, the cedi has been on free fall for the last 3 months, and it's lost 20% in 3 months. That's too bad. Like, for the economy, that's like, for me, I look at it, and whilst we are giving good rates, our rate today is 10, okay? $1 and £1 is 10 Ghana cedi. That's way too much. Like, I never thought we would get to 10 as a business for a long time, because even in January, I was still about 7 kind of thing, you know what I mean? So just imagine how much it's moved. I don't like it personally, but that's where we find ourselves. So whilst we are moving all this money with great rates back to Ghana, the actual value of that money is not as high in Ghana as it used to be. So I'm happy for us because we are seeing good rates, but I'm also sad because it's not quite doing what we wanted to do. So the money is not going as far. Now, can we stop that? No. Do we have an impact on that? No. I think we are in a very economic place where it's demand and supply that's controlling things. Now we buy money in Ghana from the Bank of Ghana, and their selling rates have gone up. But the good news is, I'll tell you what, today the rates have dropped a little bit, which was good news, right? So yesterday our rate was 10.22, right, to the pound. Today the rate is 10. Right, because we've bought at a different rate. Tomorrow, I'm sure it'll be different as well. So it's beginning to go backwards. Whilst people would expect me to say I want to give good rates all the time, I'm very conscious that actually the rates going backwards is good news for the country. It's good news for the economy, and hopefully it would help Ghana overall, because then we don't default on our staff. We don't. There's lots of good things why the rates going back is good, but I'm not happy about where the rates are right now.
I did ask that question because all I wanted to say is, if you have money stuck there somewhere and you want to do something in Ghana, don't wait, because the value when the money gets to Ghana, the things that it can buy, you might think, oh yes, I've sent £100, I've got 1,000 Ghana, but 1,000 Ghana can't even buy 2 bags of cement anymore. So if you want to do something, get it done, send the money, use TapTap, push it down, don't wait. There's no time to wait, and that is why I asked that question. Thank you for us. We will keep inviting you whenever possible to come and give us few bits. We thank you for your supporting the Ghanaian community all over the place. We take recognition of that. Ghana Union will need you. We will need your help with anything that we are doing. There's so many events coming up, and we'll have better conversation going ahead.
We are committed. We are committed. We are here.
Thank you.
And Godspeed on all the things you do. All right? Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Okay.
We'll go back to the forum again. Lawyer Jan, I'm hoping that your line has been restored to some safe level, because we have enjoyed your so much. But we only have 40 minutes left to end the forum, so I'll give you 10 more minutes, please. If I may ask you to focus on the land guard issue, the people pulling down those houses that Aspirants come and build. They know we are only there for 2 weeks, 1 month, and then they take the matter to court. And then the court, the judges will keep adjourning the case, knowing that we are not going to be there for too long. The practical problems that we, the aspirants, are facing, if you can focus on those 2 areas or 3 areas for me for the next 10 minutes, then we'll go back to Q&A, so that the people can also ask you more questions. I'm sure all of that will flow from there. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Mr. Quason,
yes, sir.
The point about the litigation, you leaving and they taking advantage, is very real. I have been in the practice for 32 years. So I appreciate the point you have made. It appears to us that if you look at Section 12, if you look at the kind of sanctions which have been put in place under this new law, you probably, in some cases, you don't need to go to court. So I'll give you an example. If A sells you a piece of land, A goes to sell the same piece of land to C, so you are B. A sells you a piece of land. A sells the same piece of land to C. Why do you have to fight in court with with C? Take A to court by way of a criminal complaint. You see, because most of the time what is happening is unscrupulous landowners play purchases against each other. So 2 strangers will be fighting because an unscrupulous landowner has taken from A and taken from B, and he is sitting in somewhere and you are fighting. Now, if you go back to Section 277 of the law, it sets out the sanctions for these kind of multiple transactions. So instead of going to court against that stranger, go to court against that landowner who has sold the same piece of land to 7 people. And if you go to Section 277, you will find some very interesting thing there. It first talks about a public officer who falsifies land records, for example, because some of your issues have to do with public officers who are in collusion with these unscrupulous landowners. That has been taken care of. So in the past, when public officers do these things, they are just transferred. Now, when public officers engage in frauds relating to land documents, they will go to jail. The same thing, a person who purports to sell the same piece of land to more than 1 person will go to jail. So instead of fighting with that person on the land, go against your landlord. Let us put some of these people to jail, some of these chiefs, some of these unscrupulous landlords. Let us put them into jail, because if you want to settle these matters in the civil court, most of the time, that's where the delays are. Most of the time, that's where the delays are. Yes, in some cases, you have to go to the civil court. But I can tell you from my experience, most of the problems that people take to the civil courts could be handled swiftly in the criminal court. Because that person who has sold you land, who has gone to sell to another person, that same person, if you proceeded against him in a criminal court and he knows that he will end up in jail, he will find you land and stop the litigation, instead of he sitting on a fence and allowing 3 people to be fighting on the same piece of land. So what I am saying in effect is the sanctions regime under this new act, if we can enforce them, and we need people to also file complaints and pursue the complaints. If you don't file the complaints, you can't have the results.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, look, as I sit here, I know of a friend, a very, very good friend, who has owned a land for 20 years. just gone back to Ghana to develop it, built a house to roofing level, and one big man comes and says, my land, got bulldozers and pull down the whole thing. And it's a very, very painful experience. So the difference between criminal court, because the same court you go, they say, oh, this matter has to go to civil court. For some reason, the system has opened some avenue for people to manipulate such that before you realize your time is up, you are back to UK. You come and sit here for another 3 years before you go back again. They know you are not going to be there to follow you up. That is our biggest frustration. But I won't do more of the talking. I will open the door for Q&A. We'll go straight to Q&A so that we can have more questions. Those who want to ask questions, please raise your hand, and I'll call you in that order. Lawyer Jan is here to answer it with all the legal backing and all the legal information that is given. We've got Felix Barr. Please, Felix, if you want to ask your question, Felix.
Okay, my question is more about a matrimonial home. You build a house with your wife, and then when you are not there, your family will just kick your wife and your children out of the house. But from my understanding, from what you just exposed to us, the house belongs also to the wife, and therefore, if you are not there, then automatically the house should go to the wife.
Should I answer now?
You can take about two more questions. One more question, then you answer both of them together. So if you've made note of that, please.
Okay.
Joseph Kwanzaa, please. Joseph.
Thank you, Mr. Question. Yes, I will be grateful if you could let us see the advantages that the new setup in relation to what the Vice President has brought into registration of documents. Has it been advantageous or detrimental to the process of registering a document? Because I'm doing one and it's taking ages. So if you could tell us if it has been helpful or not, and what is the way forward? Thank you. Thank you.
And there's one question from the chat room that I want to ask on behalf of that person. It says, I think we talked about married people going around with that idea that they can get away by having a land transfer. Now the question is, if you and your wife or husband are married, you buy a land, you are not a Ghanaian, your wife is a Ghanaian. Why is it that the law says you are not able to own that piece of land in the name of your wife? And I didn't get that clarity right, lawyer. If you can clarify that aspect, that would be helpful, please. I don't know if I cited it correctly, but there was some area where you said if you are not a Ghanaian and you are married to a Ghanaian, you can't use marriage as a reason to get around a certain law that has been put in force. If you can answer those
now
three.
let me go. Let me take these ones first. So Felix, the matrimonial home. What Felix is talking about should not happen because currently, particularly from the time of PNDC law 111, the law in Ghana says that if there is only one house, it goes to the surviving spouse and the children. So there is no question at all that it goes to the surviving spouse. If there is more than one house, the surviving spouse and the children would identify the one they prefer first, and the rest will become part of the residual estate and it will be shared according to the law. So if anybody tries to remove the wife of a deceased man under Ghana law these days, you end up in prison because that system has been abolished. The system of nephew inheritance or brother inheritance is no longer part of our law.
Lawyer, that aspect Where the person that has died built a house on a family land, it's not a land they own themselves or they bought themselves. What is the implication in that? Because most family,
That one,
because
yes.
you said that you
The
my
law is that
family land. Yes.
the law says that if you are a member of a family and you develop family land, you only have a life interest in the property. It means you cannot transfer that property upon your death. It means your interest in the property will die with you. And that's why the law says even your wife and children would only be allowed to stay in that property subject to good behavior. Because once you die, your interest has died. And your wife and children will be at the mercy of your family. So when you improve an existing family house, or when you build on an existing family land, you only have a life interest in the property. That's different from what you have acquired through your own labor on your own land. On Mr. Kwanzaa, you see, the Vice President's agenda has been the agenda of digitization. Now, what has been happening in the Lands Commission over the last 12 or so years is that the documents which were already in manual frame are being digitized. They are being converted from manual to digital so that you can run searches online. You can imagine some of these documents you are talking about are old, worn out, and they are struggling to scan them into a digital frame. So the digitization is a very good boost for land management, because in this Land Act, the new act that I was talking about, provision has been made for the first time in a Ghanaian legislation for electronic conveyancing to enable you to be able to convey property using electronic medium. Provision has been made from Section 73 all the way to Section 79. So, yes, we don't have the full capacity yet, but our law has recognized that you can have electronic conveyance. So, new documentation are being processed from a digital frame, while the old documents which have already been registered are being converted from manual to digital. And my brother, it is taking time, but we will reap the benefit of the digitization over time. We will reap the benefits, because you can imagine sitting behind your computer in your office and running a search in the records of your Lands Commission because you are hooked up. All you do is you access the information at the Lands Commission subject to a fee. The same way solicitors in the UK run from their offices, access information through Her Majesty's Land Registry without walking to the registry. I think that's where the Vice President's agenda is trying to take us to. There is something else which probably is causing your delay. There is a new system of barcoding for surveying. A barcoded site plans are taking some time because of instrument challenges, but those are authentic. When you have a barcoded plan, it means that indeed survey has been done and the land is lying where it's supposed to be lying. I have seen a plan that someone had in a litigation. He was given land at Boteman near Nungwa Farms. When he tendered his land site plan in court and it was subjected to scrutiny, the plan was in respect of some land in Ashalaja. You are taking land on the Temamoto Way area. Your land actually, according to your plan, is somewhere beyond the Densu River in Ashalaja because of errors in surveying. So part of your delay may be because of the barcoding. But as in all new systems, we are going to have these teething problems. But down the road, like I said, we will reap the rewards of these innovations. And then there is another one about couple, the married couple. So I've done Felix, I've done Mr. Kwanzaa, and the last one was a married couple. Could that person give me the question again?
The question was, you gave some indication that if you're a foreigner,
yes,
and
trying to navigate around the law. Perfect, perfect. So we were in section 10 of the law, and I was saying, listen to what the law says. Section 10, subsection 9. The restrictions imposed in subsection 1, 2, 3, and 7 on the interest that a person who is not a citizen of Ghana may acquire in land shall not be affected by the marriage of that person to a citizen of Ghana or by the entry into a partnership with a citizen of Ghana. So what we are saying is this. Under Article 266 of the Constitution and Section 10 of the Land Act, there are severe restrictions on land holdings by foreigners. And we know from a fact, Lebanese in this country started, there was something called the Ghana Business Promotions Act, which restricted Lebanese and non-Ghanaians from investing in certain aspects of the economy. All they did was to marry Ghanaian women and use them to circumvent the law. This was the reason why, in passing this bill into law, it was inserted in there that if you have a disability in terms of access to land, the mere fact that you have married a Ghanaian will not change your disability. If you marry a Ghanaian and because of that you want to be a Ghanaian, the law allows you to become a Ghanaian. So why don't you go ahead and become a Ghanaian and enjoy all the benefits that Ghanaians also enjoy? But why do you want to use the route of a marriage only? The law says that is not available to you. But you can naturalize as a Ghanaian. You can set up a company and give 60, 62, 63% to Ghanaians and navigate around it. Yes. So the law is very clear. We have had issues with some countries. I'll give you an example. Many years back, the Americans came to the Ministry of Lands when I was working there. Their challenge is Ghanaians in America can get freeholds in America. Why can't Americans who come to Ghana get freeholds? And we said, this is our law. If you think that Ghana is treating your citizens with discrimination, when you go back, do the same with Ghanaians. But this is our constitution. It says foreigners cannot have freeholds. This is our constitution.
Right. I like that bit. Okay, Gloria, we have two more hands up, plus questions that I received in advance that I'll go through. Gloria.
Okay.
Gloria, please. Gloria.
Hi, thank you very much. I just want to ask a question. I have a property in Ghana, and I started developing. And then in 2015, some estate developers stopped me from developing, claiming that part of their land it's encroached on by my property. I don't know how that happens and how they justify that. But I tried everything and they wouldn't let me develop until I paid them some money. And then they gave me an indenture with a leasehold of 35 years. I just want to find out, is that right? And if not, what do I need to do? Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. Noble Martin, please. Noble. You are muted, sir.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. I have just two simple questions. One is to do with when you have a property in Ghana and then somebody comes in and try to put a kiosk in front of the property, in UK here, that would be trespassing. And you can take action against them. But in Ghana, people will come and put a kiosk almost in front of your property and frustrates you, and there's nothing being done about that. The second question that I also wanted to find out is how come that in Accra, for instance, almost all the properties all the land that we buy tends to be leasehold? Why cannot be freehold? After all, the reason why we have leasehold in UK is because the freeholder has the land, the freeholder has an investment in the land by way of a form of structural development, and you are taking part of that land. That's why you become a leaseholder. But a land that is clear with no investment of the freeholder or the owner of the land. The owner of the land doesn't have infrastructure in it, has nothing. It's not like it's built and you are taking a part of it as it is done here. So even that, as you are aware, Lawyer Jan, even in UK, we are now moving away from this leasehold. From all leaseholds are now going to be treated as freehold.
What's the question?
So I said, how come that Ghana is allowing people in Accra, for instance, of course, I've got lands in Accra, they go on a leasehold instead of it being a freehold. The Act should have to look at that very seriously, because it's not, first, it's not fair, and second, it's not legal.
Thank you, Noble. One last question before Dr. Jan will answer those three. From Dr. Ambrose, please. Joseph Kwanzaa, I will have to come to you later because you've had a chance already. There will be other ones that will come back to you on that. Dr. Ambrose? Do you have Dr. Ambrose still with us, please?
Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I have just one simple question to ask for clarification. I want to ask the lawyer who is speaking from Ghana, why has the land administration project taken Ghana so long to be able to implement the project? It's taking us decades. What is the problem?
Thank you. All right, Lawyer Jan, please, you can go ahead for those three, and then we come back to the next one or two.
So let's start with Dr. Ambrose. The Land Administration Project, or LAP, was a government's long-term program to fix the challenges in the land sector. The plan was, it was going to be running for up to about 25 years, because research and the practice has demonstrated that land reforms start yielding results from about 15 years towards 20, 30 years thereabouts. In fact, even though in the UK, they've done titling from the beginning of whatever, they still are running, So land reforms are long-term objectives. So I was part of LAP 1. LAP 1 had specific objectives which had to be achieved. Then LAP 2. Unfortunately, government of Ghana itself has not been able to raise the monies to carry on with the remaining activities. This is what happens when you have donor-driven projects, because government of Ghana's contribution to these projects was about 15% of the revenues. And when the donor funds dried up, GOG funds also diminished. But there's still work which is being done using Lands Commission's own internally generated funds and government budgetary appropriations. So these are the issues with the land administration project. It's even this Land Act we are talking about is the result, one of the products of the Land Administration Project. The institutional reform, which merged all those agencies under one umbrella with the creation of a common depository of records, is part of the same LAP or Land Administration Project. So we are trying to, it's not that easy. I go to Mr. Martin. The first has to do with erection of a kiosk on his frontage. In fact, it is as illegal and trespassery in Ghana as it is in the UK. So all he has to do is to notify the assembly of the illegal structure's presence. If the assembly doesn't take steps to remove it, any district magistrate who has jurisdiction where the property is would make an order for the evacuation of the kiosk. And the law in this country is that if the kiosk is evacuated, the cost of the evacuation has to be borne by the person who put it there. So, yes, the law allows you to do it. Please push it, it can happen. The next one has to do with the leases. Leases can be painful because, like Gloria was talking about, she has a 35-year lease. It means at the end of 35 years, she has to leave the land for somebody else to take it. But Gloria has some salvation because of Section 59 and 11. In her case, maybe she will take advantage of 9. Now, the implied renewal, because the lease is a contract. So if you yourself sign a contract for 35 years, it will be used against you. You signed it, unless you can say that you were under duress when you signed it. Otherwise, you'll be fixed with your 35 years. But this new regime gives you an opportunity for an automatic or implied renewal. So, Gloria, you will not lose your property at the end of 35 years under the current dispensation. Now, linking that with Mr. Martin's first intervention, it looks like now we have taken a step towards automatic renewal of leases. I think that what you have said will be given serious consideration in any future revisions of the law, so that we will gradually be moving away from leaseholds to freeholds. Because your point about leases, yes, in Ghana, leases are legal, but they might not be very economic. And the reason we have extended their lives automatically is to bring some more economics and longer tenure and secure tenure into leaseholds. So at least if you have a lease for 99 years and you have an automatic renewal, it means that at the end of 99 years, it will be renewed for another 99 years, and it will be renewed for another 99 years. But a freehold is still a freehold. So we will all be dreaming of the day when we can take leases out of the system, except those people who actually want it, and allow people to have freeholds and permanently have land to themselves, which they can alienate or transfer for the next 2,000 years. So I think your point about leases and freeholds, well taken.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I'm going to read one question from a chat room. I acquired 2 plots of land some 25 years ago and started building on it. I started building on one of the plots. The second one had my backyard farm on it. During the lockdown, somebody encroached and quickly built on it. We are in court. It has been adjourned more than 10 times so far. Is it worth pursuing the court case? That's one thing. I think the person just needs your honest advice as a lawyer. After 10 times of adjournment, having to travel back and forth Ghana to London over something like that. which I believe should have been simple, really. But that is the law, the way Ghana system works. The next question is, lawyer, why is it that we don't have one single authority that manages all land? Why do we have skin land, stew land, government land, Ochami land, Ebusabeyin land? Why? Is it not really the frustration that these sort of divisions has created the mess that we are in? And even with the digitalization, as long as this, I don't know, I want to ask that question. Why? Why 65 years of independence, we still have all this chaos at the land registry, a piece of land? If you go for those two, then I will take those whose hands are up, please.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
You see, what you have just said, you have gone to the heart of the land crisis. You see, in the UK, they have a very simple land tenure system. The Crown owns all the land. And everybody who holds land in England is a tenant of some sort of the Crown. Whether you are a freeholder, a fee simple, or whatever it is, you are still deriving your land from the Crown. To the extent that, for example, many years in the feudal system in Europe, in the UK, people who were given land because they provided horses for Her Majesty, some provided wine, some supported the king and queen in their spiritual needs, and so on. But everybody was a tenant of some sort, freeholder or leaseholder, whatever it is. Your landlord was the Crown. Here, we have diffused landlords all over the place. Why are we in this shape? The politicians should have, at a certain point, done something. Either you nationalize all the lands, or you separate land allocation and land use from land ownership. So you say, okay, the land is yours, but you will not be the person to allocate if you want to be less disruptive. But most of us who are in the land sector think we had an opportunity under the PNDC, which was not a democratically elected system, to have nationalized all the land and saved us this situation you have just described. Currently, with the political system we have, and politicians running to chiefs to beg for votes, what you are saying will not happen. But what you are saying holds the key to solving the land crisis. Because I will tell you something, almost all the nice areas in our countries, until recently where the real estate people came in, almost all the nice areas were those areas that the state had taken the land and had done the schemes. Is it not the case?
Yes.
If you go to Takoradi, Accra, Ridge, the cantonments and the Ridge in Kumasi, in Takoradi, wherever you find nice streets and layouts, the state was involved. But where the people themselves did their own allocations, we have the Nimet and the Sukures and the Mamobis. That's what you get. So what you have said is the heart of the land crisis. We need that level of political courage, which I am not seeing on the horizon.
Right, okay.
We need, as a people, to engage in a dispassionate dialogue on the future of land ownership and allocation of land in this country.
Right.
But in this country, everything becomes politicized. So we end up as Ghanaians.
Right, okay. Yes, and what would be your advice for the person whose one plot has been...
The litigation man. One advice I'll give to all of you in the diaspora. When you have a court case the processes have its own setup and timelines. These days, the judges are doing very well. You'll be surprised. Now, you go to a Ghanaian court, you are allocated a time. If the case is adjourned to 5th April, the judge gives you time. He says 10 a.m. If you are not there at 10 a.m., your case will not be called. Someone else's case will be called. So judges are now using prudent case management techniques, which will facilitate expeditious decisions in this sense. But one advice I'll give to all diasporians is when you are involved in a case in Ghana, try and get an attorney, not a lawyer. Prepare a power of attorney in favor of a Ghanaian who is resident, so they can do the daily appearances on your behalf. When it comes to the point where you have to give evidence, you can arrange and come. The judge can give you 5 days continuous to give your evidence and you go back. That is a better way. So please tell your people, sign off on a power of attorney to somebody in Ghana as your agent. When the case is called, he will represent your interest. When you have to give evidence, come and the judge will give you 1, 2, 3, 4 days continuous. So if you are here for a month, you can give all your evidence and be cross-examined during that period, and you can go back. You will not feel the pain that your colleague is feeling.
Right.
But I still have confidence in the justice system. We are trained as lawyers to understand that the wheel of justice grinds slowly.
Right.
You know, many years it was worse. Many years ago it was worse. In the last 10 years, when they started building the purpose-built land courts. Now, if you go to the High Court building in Accra, there are more than 20 land courts that are dedicated to land cases. So, small, we are making progress. Small.
Right.
We are making progress.
Thank you. We've got some few hands up. We are limited with time, but coming up next, I want to just make you aware. We have all heard in the graveyard some news headlines from few social media that there is likely to be some restrictions eased at the Kotoka International Airport at some point soon. We haven't had any official note on it. We are following development, but if that becomes the case, come 8th of April, we'll be holding a forum where we will have the Presidential Advisor on Public Health to come and give us updates on requirements for travel to Ghana. We are waiting for that to become official. Once it's official, that will be our next topic. COVID-19 and the measures at Kotoka, the new updates to be given to Ghanaians traveling to Ghana and foreigners as well. There are a lot of debate going on. All of that is all social media talk. We haven't had any official presentation by the president or anybody that I can attest to. So we are following these headlines, and we've got somebody who will come and talk and handle the issues for you. Thank you very much. We have few minutes, lawyer. For a Friday evening, you've stayed and done this with us. Salasi, please, if you can ask your question. Salasi. Do we still have Salasi with us, please?
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Lawyer, I just have 2 questions to ask. One is, what about the citizens that have acquired land in Teshenungwa, Spintex, that from there it went to Tema TDC before final documentation? What do you know about that or advise you? Have you got to give us to see the authenticity of the plot that we've got? And then number 2, as a citizen of Ghana, as you previously said, you've got a land and there was a litigation, and you have taken solicitors to litigate this for you. And after litigating over the properties, the two lawyers decided to to share the properties among themselves. You went to court trying to get all these, your properties from them, and it's been 10 solid years now in Ghana, where this man honestly said to you, well, in Ghana, when you have money, you can do anything. So therefore, my property, my sword, I have become disabled now in London here. I cannot come home because this lawyer is bent on taking my property, and the case is in court for 11 years now. What do you do as a citizen about this?
Thank you, Selassie. Joe, please, one last question from Joe.
Yeah, Kwesi, thank you very much for the opportunity. My question is a simple one, and I believe Lawyer Jan, thank you too for coming to this program and helping us. I think he mentioned it about 12 years that somebody can be on your property, and after the 12 years, the person can own it. In my case, we have a building in Ghana. It is not completed yet, and there is somebody there that we know, but we don't have any legal document with a person, no contract, nothing, just a verbal agreement with a person. We don't take anything from the person. Is it possible that after 12 years, this person can take ownership of our property? This is my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'm going to add one from the chat. Okay. I'm going to add one from the chat, then that will round up for today. There is somebody asking, in the case of maternal and paternal inheritance, you know that paternal and paternal inheritance, where some cultures, you inherit your father's property. If my father has built a property on a family land, and he is gone, as you said, he died he died with it. What happens to me that belongs to that same family because of the inheritance, cultural inheritance we have? Do I also get kicked out with my mom, or what happened? Thank you. I think the line is frozen again, but hopefully we come back. Oh dear. Okay. Are you back with us, please?
See.
Okay. The line from the other side is quite an issue. Let's give you a second and see how whether Laura can join us again. It would be a shame.
Hello.
Yes, sir. We can hear you. Right. I'm afraid, but I think we've lost contact with Lawyer Jan for the last two questions. That's all time will allow us to bring to you. We will try and hopefully revisit this topic, because I know it's a very it's an issue that we have to battle with. We want to thank all the audience for today. Thank Ghana Union for putting this together with the support of Ghana Nurses Association, the Ghanaian Nightingale Nurses Association, and the Western Region Association of Nurses. We thank the support of TapTapSend. TapTapSend. Please keep using the code they've given us, and you get £5 on your send. GCAF, Ghanaian Community Awareness Forum. GCAF, Ghanaian Community Awareness Forum, and you'll be fine. I think I've just been made aware Lawyer Jan is back to answer those two questions. We are out of time, but we'll give, as he's made the effort to come, but we'll give him time to respond, please. Lawyer Jan, please, are you with us still? Yes. Can you hear me, sir? Yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. If you respond to those two questions.
Let's go first with the gentleman who is talking about the patrilineal system. Is in a very different shape because the problem is the position of the law is that the children of an account man are not members of his family. That's the position of the law. This was the decision of Ephraim Benjamin in the case of Mr. Abedu and Abedu, Ephraim Benjamin J, that the children of an account man are not members of his family. But the children of an every man are members of his family. So that's his situation. He will still be in his father's house as a patrilineal person. Hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
Mr. Question, okay. So, but it's different if he was a matrilineal. Because for the matrilineal, your children, a male, your children are not members of your family. That's where the problem is. On the sphincters, it is not easy for me to answer the sphincters one because I don't know exactly where this parcel is. But on the professional misconduct of the lawyers, the woman shouldn't worry herself in the court. Madam Selassie should go to the General Legal Council, which is the body that regulates lawyers. If a lawyer is taken to the General Legal Council, it is worse than the lawyer being put before the Supreme Court. Because the General Legal Council can take your license, they can suspend, they can revoke, they can do all kinds of things to a lawyer who does anything in the region of misconduct. So Selassie, please find somebody to file a complaint on your behalf at the General Legal Council. That's a better option than going to court against them. And then adverse possession. The person who was talking about his property, the law is that the person who has come on your property must have come there without your consent and approval. That is what we call adverse possession. So if you consent and place the person on the land, no matter how long the person stays on the land, he will not be able to displace you. It is when the person goes there without your permission and you acquiesce, you allow him to be there as if nothing has happened. So in his, if the facts he has given me are as it is, he has no problem. There will not be adverse possession.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lawyer Jan. It's been a pleasure hosting you today. You know your stuff. You are very popular in Legon, and that's what the feedback I got. Everyone I shared with said this man is good, and certainly you have delivered. Thank you. Is there any closing remarks you have?
Thank you very much.
Any closing?
My warm regards to my sister who is in the UK and my nephews, sharp guys, very brilliant, 3 nephews of mine, and my sister who is a nurse in the UK. All of you, I wish you well. I can see that the sun is coming back.
Yes.
Continue supporting Ghana. This is what we have. No one will come and build Ghana for us. Some of us were also in the diaspora. We decided to come home and contribute. Those of you who are in the diaspora should contribute in different ways to support what we are doing here. I wish you all the best. Long live Ghana. Long live our people in the diaspora.
Thank you so much. And we also wish you very, very well. Such knowledge and knowledge the country will need and forever rely on. We thank you for your time. spending this 2.5 hours with us. Thank you so much for all the effort you've put in and the information you've given us. I hope we can continue to count on you for any other topic that is within your expertise.
I'm available.
And
Always. I'm available.
Thank you very much. And we wish you a very good
Thank you very much.
Very good weekend.
Thank
to
you.
all the audience, we wish you a very good weekend, and be safe and stay well. Have a very good night.
Tap, and send. It's okay. Go. Let me speak to my people. Now, let me speak to you. I know the stress people go through when they want to send money from abroad to their family members and loved ones in Ghana and even in Africa. See, if you are in the USA, if you are in London, UK, Canada, Europe, any part of the world, see, Tap Send has made it very easy. All you have to do is to tap and send. Within a twinkle of an eye, your money will be sent with no stress. It's very fast, convenient, and easy to access everywhere. What are you waiting for? Just tap and send.
Download Tap Send now on Google Play and App Store. Tap Send. It's secure, convenient, easy, and fast.
Me did the young antechua, and maybe I'm discovered for Europe. I come a bush for Ghana. No, me used to tap send. Tap send. No fee mobile money transfer. Aye easy, aye convenient, aye fast, and sounds so free. Won't you share? Me discover aye map him. Tap send. Intienne. Also download the Tap Send app. No, ever mobile phone so free. Na first ka come a bush for Ghana for na. Tap send. Papa no.